Hey, let's see how recording goes. This is Tuesday, January 8th, and so this is the first time we've seen each other since last year. Dad joke. Let's see, you're going to need your iPad tomorrow, and again Thursday. You're taking NWEA. It's a screwy schedule, but you'll figure it out when you get here. I have your old book reports. If you want them, come see me. If not, then I'll recycle them. We're crossing out our old table of contents in the notebook. We are done with that. So make sure you cross those out, and then you're going to have to flip through pages and then go through and cross out any pages where you have blank on one side and then work on the other side. So until you get to your last two blank pages, you're going to cross out those two blank pages. If you were unaware that two X's together spell loss of points for still having iPad out, which is a weird thing for it to spell, but you know, sometimes these are the way things work out. Let's see, from there. Now our new table of contents. So now you should flip pages to your new table of contents if you're playing this game at home. You might need to pause it until you get caught up. For those of you who are playing the live version, here's where you're going to write down this entry into your table of contents, which will be in your brand new shiny table of contents. It's on the homework side, which should be on the left-hand side, which is the homework side. There's the whole making correct choices thing. And it's going to be called Fable Note, which is Latin for Fable Notes. Fable Note. So we are now we are done with all of that first semester stuff, except for Magic Lens. That continues the whole year. That goes all the way through high school. I will make references to Shadow Club and the other stuff we did too, poetry, short stories. But for the most part, that's not the main thing we're focusing on. We're going to take a look at Fables as we transition into our next big unit. Fables we're only going to be doing for like a week or two. Our next big unit, we start next week, which is going to be speeches. And so a week from today, we should be standing up and giving speeches. And your first speech is next Tuesday. Now, before you freak out too much with this information, I'm fully aware that many of you hate speeches. And you would rather set yourself on fire and run down a hallway of the school burning and naked before standing up and giving a speech. I'm prepared for that. To help you with it, we ease our way into speeches. Your first several, you're going to give like 7 speeches for me. Your first several speeches are not even for a grade. You get through several speeches for your first one for a grade. This first one that you're going to do, you can get through it by just standing and not even talking. Your grade on the first speech is literally for not dying. You can spend your entire 30 seconds just blinking at us the entire time going, not dying, not dying. I got close. Not dying. And that's it. In 30 seconds, I'm like, hey, you're not dead. Like, I did not die. Now, for those of you who are stronger speakers, you get a chance to earn B points. So as you get stronger, you get a chance to earn the B points. If all you do is blink at us and not die for 30 seconds, it does cost you B points. But there is every chance you'd rather spend 3 B points than talk anyway. So you should be fine. For those of you who are better speakers, you can earn up to 3 B points, depending on how good your speech is. What is our speech about? That's for next week you to worry about. For now, just realize that we'll get into it. Plus, I'm going to tell you stories about me giving speeches when I was a kid. And I was not the speaker I am now when I was a kid. I hated speeches. And I gave some of the worst speeches ever. If you can imagine the most horrifying thing you think could happen to you during a speech, my story I'm going to give you next week probably matches it. Because I had one of those most horrifying things you can imagine happen to you during a speech things. And it's the story I get to tell you. It'll be a speech I give next week about myself. It'll be fun. But before we get there, we're going to talk about fables. Because fables are like little tiny speeches, because they're really nice and short. They're like short stories, but they're even shorter than short stories. So I'm going to be setting mine up what's called a T-chart, which is just a way of doing notes where it's like a line down the middle and I have like main headings on the left and then information on the right. If you don't set yours up the same way as mine, that's fine. As long as you get all the information down, I'm happy. This is to help you with the quiz coming up next Monday. So you get to use your notes on the quiz as long as you have stuff written down. If it's not written down, it makes it really tough to use. Hopefully that helps out a little bit. Ooh, speaking of giving Neb a hard time, Neb, what was the first thing I asked you about when you with your iPad? The first thing you were going to type in? Look at you taking a look at it. With no. Look on there. What's your thumb covering?
Oh, okay.
You're welcome, Neb. I'm always happy to harass you to make you a better person.
I won't like you harassing me.
Oh, well then you should write your name on things so you don't give me a reason to harass you.
Okay.
It's teamwork, Neb. Fables. There's every chance you should have, well, there's a chance if your parents did not hate you as a child, that you have heard of fables. Do you guys know what a fable is?
No.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go with this. What information can you tell me about a fable?
It's a story.
It would. That's like saying a car is a spaceship. They are two different. They are. That is correct. A fairy tale is a bunch of words, and a fable is a bunch of words. But other than that, they're a little bit different. They are story. Look at you, giving me more information as you go along. It is a story.
From a long time.
It is from a long time ago. Neb.
It usually has a moral at the end.
It does have a moral at the end.
Unrealistic stuff.
Hayden.
It's probably not real.
Probably not real, I would agree. Usually talking animals are not in the real spectrum. But maybe you live in a different world than I do. You have covered most of the major things with fables. I'm going to show you 3 types of fables as we get into them. So before we get to fables, let me give you a quick little backstory. Years and years ago, like thousands of years ago, we didn't have school, which sounds like a great thing, except there was one problem. We did have a thing called stupidity. And stupidity sounds like fun until you realize stupidity is fatal. And the problem with stupid children is they grow up to be stupid adults. And the problem with stupid adults is they grow up to be dead. Because there are people like, oh, look, there's a giant wild cat. I'm going to put my hand in his mouth. Come here, Mr. Oh, my God! And you get eaten. You're like, oh, what happened to him? Stupidity. Makes sense. And so this is what happened with these kids growing up in these villages. The old people saw the little kids running around being stupid. Picking up big rocks, going over to their friends, and just going, whack! And hitting their friend in the head with a rock. They're like, what did you just do? Like, I just hit my friend in the head with a rock. Whack! Like, why did you do that? Like, I'm playing a new game called Headsy Roxies. Like, what? Like, you hit your friend in the head with a rock, and if they live, they get a point. Whack! You don't get a point. And they go from there, and the old people are like, whoa, you just killed that child. I'm like, yeah, he's not good at playing. And the old people are like, well, you've got to stop doing that. I'm like, no, I'm not going to listen to you, old man. I'm a teenager. And so the old people realized we have to trick the kids into learning. Since we didn't have school invented yet. Like, hey, stop doing that. And the kid said, no. He goes, how about if I tell you a story? And the kid's like, oh, what kind of story? He's like, how about a story about the rhinoceros and the giraffe? And the kid's like, I'm listening. He's like, well, one day there was a rhinoceros. I'm like, put the rock down. Okay. He's like, the rhinoceros hit his friends in the head with a rock. And the kid's like, I'm intrigued. And that's how Fables began, was just telling stories to kids to get them to be less stupid. And eventually, these telling of fables, the kids got collected together, and eventually it became a school. And then they tricked the kids by introducing science and math. And the kids like, what? Revolt? Oh, it's too late. We're trapped. And that's how eventually we got started. The first type of fable is one that's called traditional. This is the one that's been around for thousands of years. It's going to introduce you to a scientific term called old-timey. It's going to use what's called old-timey stuff. Because traditional fables are the ones where you just have animals running around in the woods. We have no cars. You have no people. It's just like a rabbit and a turtle in woods. Sometimes an owl, maybe a rock, a pile of berries, something like that. I'm going to give you a quick example of the traditional fable, because there's one that most people have heard of called the Tortoise and the Hare. It's probably the most classic of all the ones out there. So this is where you should be writing down these notes that are up there that go into your notebook to try and make your life a little bit easier. Then you get to go back to Happy Doodles. So first off, we have traditional one. So let's go with Tortoise and the Hare. One day, there was a rabbit hanging out in the woods, talking to a bunch of all these other animals. And the rabbit was a wee bit of a jerk, because apparently no one likes rabbits. And the rabbit was talking to other animals like, hey, I bet I'm faster than all of you, because y'all can eat my dust. And the other animals go, yeah, you probably are. And he's like, what kind of challenge is that? And eventually the turtle gets tired of hearing him talk trash. And the turtle goes, all right, Mr. Rabbit, you think you're all that and you're super fast. Why don't you and I race? And the rabbit goes, no, I meant like the cheetah or something. Like, you're a joke. I can't race you at all. And the turtle goes, well, if I'm such a joke, how about we race each other? And he was like, all right, fine. I'll do it just to embarrass you. And the turtle's like, well, you do that. So they decide to have a race. And the owl's like, all right, I'll start the race. We'll go from here to the edge of the woods, and I'll fly over there, and I'll do the whole finish line thing. Like, all right, good. So the turtle and the rabbit line up, and all of a sudden the owl goes, go! And they take off. And the rabbit's so fast, like a little dust bunny. Dust bunny. Go flying up behind him. And the turtle's so fast when he takes off, the dust goes, hit you, and just barely moves. And then the turtle's like, I'm going to get you. And he takes off, turtle sprinting. Turtle sprinting. And the rabbit gets halfway across the forest, looks back and sees the fact the turtle's made it about 3 feet. He's like, you know what? That turtle should not have challenged me and trash talked me and make me feel all bad about myself. So I'm going to make him look even like a bigger idiot. I'm going to stop and take a nap in the middle of this race, wake up, finish, and still beat him. And the only thing that makes a race better than winning is taunting someone else in the middle of it. Yeah, that's a good idea. So the rabbit just lays down and takes a nap in the middle of the race. And the turtle keeps on turtling. Turtling, turtling, turtling. But he's moving so slowly and steadily that when he passes the rabbit, he makes no noise and sounds like a ninja. Ninja turtle, ninja turtle. And he goes right past him and keeps going all the way till he gets almost all the way to the finish line. All of a sudden, the rabbit hears a bunch of noise, and it's all the other animals cheering on the turtle, like, yay, keep going. And the owl's like, who? And they're like, the turtle. And I was like, no, all I can say is who. And all of a sudden, right before he gets a chance to cross, the rabbit goes running and slides and pushes down his little ears. He's like, I'm going to win, and slides in. And right before his ears cross, the turtle goes, and sticks at his head and beats him. And it's like, boom, I win. And we find out the moral. If you guys know the story, what's the moral of the story? Slow and steady wins the race. You're like, Mr. Brovicast, that makes no sense with that story. To which I go, yeah, I absolutely agree. It makes no sense. That's why weird old people made the stories up. And so you find out that slow, it should be don't sleep in the middle of racetracks or don't taunt people when you're winning. But apparently it was slow and steady wins the race because old people are weird when you're trying to keep kids from hitting each other in health rocks. So there is your traditional fable. Our next type of fable is called a verse fable. And verse fable is different than verses, like external conflict from short story you had to fight somebody. This is versa, not verses. And there's a chance you've heard of the word verse. You guys know what a verse is? It isn't a song. But what is a song if you take away the music?
Words.
It is words.
Weird.
Good, you're getting there.
Poem.
Nicely done. It's a poem. Yeah, but she said it louder with more confidence. Boom. And yeah, boom, which rhymes with room. I have no idea. That's what rhyming. That's a poem right there. So a verse was when you write it out as a poem. So a verse fable is a poem written as a fable. Now, to make life extra cringy, I'm going to give you an example of a verse fable that I'm going to make up on the spot because it makes life even more fun. So let's see. 1 second. I forgot I dropped a thing over here. I got it. You're fine.
Wake up.
Let's see. One day, let's go. A rabbit challenged a turtle to a race. And he says, I'm going to beat you and throw it in your face. You and I are going to race through the woods. And you'll run as fast as you could. Partway through, the rabbit took a nap. And all the other animals began to golf clap. And then the turtle crossed the line and said, I think this race is mine. The rabbit said, slow and steady won that race. Mr. Brovicast's rhyming is not a disgrace. So there Slightly. All right. He's really excited for rhyming. Our final fable is called a modern fable. And if you've seen the TV show Modern Family, at least you've seen the word modern. Do you guys know what the word modern means?
Nowadays. Latest technology.
I'm going to introduce you to another scientific word called today. And so a modern fable uses today stuff. So it's where the animals get to use technology and like phones and be in schools and stuff like that.
Like Paw Patrol?
Like Paw Patrol. Nice reference. You probably could have said SpongeBob, but that's fine. I'll do one more fable, and this time I'll update it so it is now taking place in today, scientific word, today times. So now we have a rabbit who goes to Forest Junior High. And one day he's walking around Forest Junior High and gets bumped into in the hallway. He's like, what's up with you, yo? Because that's how kids talk. And it turns out to be the turtle. And the turtle's like, I apologize. I was on my way to the academic team. And the hare is like, well, you're an idiot. And so we're going to race because you hurt my shoulder and I'm on the track team. And the turtle goes, that does not compute and make sense to my educational thoughts. And he goes, well, then you and I are going to meet each other after school at the track at 3 o'clock. And the turtle goes, oh, I can't agree to those types of conditions. And so they head outside to the track at 3 o'clock, and they both get on the little track, and all of a sudden their friend, the owl, shows up. And the owl's like, all right, 1 lap around, get back to here. Whoever loses, the other person needs to take a picture of them and then post it to Instagram and make fun of them for cyberbullying, because that's what kids do nowadays. I'm like, all right, go. And the owl goes, go! And they both take off running as fast as they can. Halfway around the track, all of a sudden the rabbit sees all the squirrel cheerleaders. And they're like, flippy tail, flippy tail. He's like, "Rrrt." How you do it? And he goes over and starts talking to all the cheerleader squirrels. And they're like, how are you? And he's like, I'm doing well. I'm racing this guy over here. And they're talking and hanging and flirting and having a good time. And the turtle's like, turtle. What is the geographic reason of trying to get around this in the correct amount of time? And he tries to figure out the way to get around the whole thing. And all of a sudden, the turtle gets close to the end. And the squirrel cheerleader's like, I think you're getting ready to lose. And the rabbit's like, what? Ah! And starts throwing cheerleaders like, squirrel, squirrel! And throwing them out of his way. And he takes off running as fast as he can and slides across the finish line. And as he does, the turtle's already there, and he's like, slide, clickety! And the turtle takes a picture of him and then turns him into a meme and is like, you're a loser, and then posts it on there and then gets suspended. And we find out Slow and Steady wins the race and that you should never taunt other people. Tomorrow, we're going to find out about the characteristics and get more into our fabling from there. You do have best, so make sure you go there.